When the Galactic Concord first discovered humanity, it was not during an age of triumph or exploration, nor as the result of some proud declaration of existence broadcast across the stars, but purely by accident, an awkward bureaucratic blunder buried beneath centuries of complacency, because the regions near the Orion Spur were long considered unremarkable, sparsely inhabited, and not worth the effort of updating on star maps. And if anyone had looked closely, they might have noticed the sudden explosive rise of a young species hurling high-powered radio signals into space with the reckless enthusiasm of children throwing fireworks. But no one did, not until an automated listening array intercepted a battered, outdated human probe drifting toward interstellar space like a cosmic message in a bottle. And suddenly the Concord realized it had missed something massive. Panic spread in the political chambers, with ancient species horrified that they had somehow overlooked a developing civilization inside their territory, while others saw opportunity, and the most cautious minds saw a warning. Because any species that rose this far this quickly without guidance was a species worth fearing or respecting. Meanwhile, humanity had no idea of the galactic embarrassment it had caused. They were too busy arguing about resource distribution, climate stabilization, and whether their first colonies were independent nations or just bureaucratic headaches, all while being brilliant, chaotic, inventive, stubborn, and above all relentlessly resilient, the kind of paradoxical species that disagreed on everything until crisis struck, and then, strangely, they united with terrifying efficiency. The Concord sent a diplomatic vessel, the Vesherial Promise, built to impress with its shimmering photonic armor and nebula-like gravity sails, and the crew practiced every known first contact protocol, prepared gifts of knowledge archives and star maps, and expected a calm, ceremonial welcome. But humanity detected them early and assumed the worst, blasting frantic warning signals into orbit, scrambling militaries, sending conspiracy networks into meltdown, and pointing every civilian telescope at the sky. By the time the ship arrived, the entire planet buzzed like a kicked beehive. When the primary envoy stepped onto Earth, tall, elegant, radiating dignity, protocol dissolved instantly as humans swarmed the landing zone in a tidal wave of soldiers, scientists, journalists, and excited civilians climbing whatever they could to get a better view. Translator units failed, pheromonal communication was scattered by wind. Someone fainted, someone screamed, someone tried to take a selfie, and a panicked soldier nearly triggered an incident, marking the event as the worst first contact in galactic history. Yet strangely, perfectly, authentically human, because from the chaos emerged understanding. Linguists adapted, soldiers lowered weapons, children waved, and the envoy realized a truth no diplomatic manual had ever suggested, that humanity learned by sprinting headfirst into the unknown and surviving the impact. From that moment, the galaxy never underestimated them again. The first shock came when humanity asked for nothing, requesting only basic star maps while declining advanced technology. 2 years later, they built their own warp engine anyway, leapfrogging centuries of development like it was natural instinct. The second shock came when humans began exploring, not through slow, funded expeditions, but by scattering themselves across the galaxy like enthusiastic troublemakers, landing on hazardous worlds just to see what it's like, mining asteroids with tools held together by duct tape, and building orbital habitats where no rational engineering principles approved. A Concord official famously complained that humans don't ask permission, they don't ask for help, they just go. The third shock erupted during the Vraxin crisis when the warlike Dominion attacked border systems, and humanity, officially irrelevant, barely a century into spaceflight, arrived on the battlefield before the Concord military could even mobilize. Their ships were smaller and uglier, but engineered like indestructible bricks, flown with terrifying precision by commanders who treated 40% survival odds as a decent gamble. When the Vraxin deployed a superheated particulate weapon, humans countered with a maneuver later nicknamed Operation Yeet, slingshotting a disarmed asteroid using warp shear to crush the Vraxin flagship. And when the Dominion retaliated, humans escalated, refusing to retreat or surrender. Miners converted drills into weapons, Farmers armored cargo haulers, hackers invaded enemy systems for fun, and civilians volunteered en masse, proving that humanity did not fear annihilation. They adapted to it. By the war's end, humanity was reclassified from overlooked frontier species to probable galactic superpower, not because they conquered, but because they became something stranger. The species others called when everything went wrong, the ones who improvised when logic failed, who fought for allies with the same reckless bravery they fought for themselves, who dared when older species hesitated, who ignited hope in civilizations that had forgotten how to change. And in the end, the most astonishing truth was that humanity never rose because it was overlooked. It rose because it refused to stay where the galaxy expected it to be, becoming the spark of a new era, chaotic, inventive, fearless, loud, compassionate, and utterly unstoppable. Humans endured. Humans mattered. Humans, against all predictions, became the species the galaxy would never again ignore. HFY.